Okay, we are live. We are live. So, using the YouTube live stream saves me a little bit of a step, recording it, putting it up there. Also, got better wide view, I think, with the camera. Got the Huntner, I got the Mets, got my scarf there, got the other Mets hat, some computers back there. Um, Very interesting parsha this week, obviously. Um, so, Dibros is back at the end. We have Yisro, the famous father-in-law story, which is that the true father-in-law story? Maybe the Lavan relationship in Yaakov is the real father-in-law story. You can ask my son-in-law what he thinks about that, or my future daughter-in-law what she thinks about that. But last bunch of Shabbos, there was a Shulam Lav Malka, so it's the third or fourth time we did this. We had COVID, we couldn't do it for a couple of years. So we had Lav Malka and had trivia questions, trying to meet other people. They mixed up the seating, different places. And I noticed that very few people with the gray hair. um, and the next day I noticed I was the oldest person at the Mav Malka. Again, I'm not 105, I'm 52. Got, Baruch Hashem, 52. And oldest dude there. The rabbi's younger. Um, Mark Rosenbaum, the gabai's younger. A lot of the older guys traveling, a lot of guys are on the airport, they're in America. So it was very few of the older crowd, the older chevra. And next day, I noticed I was the oldest dude there. Two grandkids. The rabbi has one, so I literally have most grandkids I've ever had the Smav Malka. And totally fine. Um, we see this week's parsha that it's not the age that really defines a person. It's not really what makes a person. It's the ability to kind of welcome older and younger people into striving for emes, striving what the truth is. Um, we always look at the older people for guidance. We look at the older people for wisdom, but we can also look at the younger people if that's the right approach. Um, my Gemara Chabura in the morning is given by guys younger than me and it's tended by guys a lot younger than me. Mark Planik comes part-time, is here. The Chutton's there, part-time as well. But as far as the regular person, I'm the oldest one there. And it's not embarrassing. It took me a while to get some convincing to join the Chabura, as guys are younger than me, and I felt a little bit out of place. But if you really want to strive, if you really want Torah, you want to really get the emes, and you want to kind of be excited, you can't look at age. You have to look at what the message is. And we see this is something that I think Moshe really personifies in the beginning of the parsha. Moshe welcomes Yisro. And you think about it, Yisro did all the avodah zarahs in the world. If someone did more avodah zarah than Yisro, we don't know who that person is. He did all of them. He knew all of them. He knew all the gods. He bowed down to everything. And the last person you would think that Moshe would be associated with or takes advice from is someone like Yisro, who was the advisor of Paro. He's a Kohen, Midyon, Kohenon, all these things he did. And the last person you think he would take advice from is someone like Yisro. But the Pri Tzaddik says Yisro had one thing going for him, as opposed to Paro, Amalek, all the other kings who we don't really take converts from. We don't really allow people to converts from different areas. Mitzrayim, Amalek, we really don't accept. Mori, Moab, Ammon. Yisro was welcomed. Not only that, but he added to the Torah. But he was a searcher for truth. And Pri Tzaddik talks about what a Kohen is. A Kohen is someone who is searching for truth and wants to set people the right way. And that's the common denominator with Kohanim, that Aaron was a Kohen. He's here to kind of make shalom between God and the people, the right path people should choose. And Yisro, he had the wrong path for many years until he's an old man, and he finally recognizes that Moshe's way is the right way, Hashem's way is the right way. And someone who's striving for truth is someone you could learn from. And even if you wouldn't have converted, someone who's speaking the truth can give you a good lesson. Moshe listens to Kol Yisro. He doesn't really accept it right away because The Torah wasn't given yet. There wasn't really a forum for dinim, for halachos, only after Matan Torah. But he hears Yisro, he hears advice, and he takes it to heart. And when the time comes to actually make a court system that has judges, he listens and takes heed to what Yisro has to say. And this is the approach I think that everyone should take. I remember once sitting on the plane, sitting next to a priest, the priest of Fresno, California. And I was saying how he's talking about Israel and he loves Israel and all these things. And he says, how come when he has his church functions to recognize Israel, very few Jewish people come? It's only the Christian people. Why are they so into it? Some Jews in America aren't so into Israel. And I really didn't have a good answer for that. But there's always some musar, there's always some chachma you can get from the Gaim. But it's someone that searches. Someone who searches for the truth, you can always learn from them and take a lesson, take musar from them. There was a fellow who used to clean up, a janitor, actually, of the Yeshiva Levi Torah, who's a former pastor. And he has a really interesting story that he was a priest, he was a pastor, but he recognized the questions he couldn't even answer. He recognized, and not only did he not leave the church, but he became firm. So someone who really has a way to search. We talk about Meir Stoudemire, who found God, Yehoshaphat. But someone who really searches for the truth, you can always learn from. And this is something that Moshe exemplifies as well, not just Moshe, but the Jewish people. The people in the last week's parasha became lax in the Torah, and that's what led to Amalek. And this week's parsha, they left Rephidim, and they go to Midbar Sinai. And that's a place where now you leave your stuff behind, you leave your ego behind, you leave your striving for comforts behind, and you go to Midbar Sinai to now say, I'm focused, that's my main thing. I leave my beliefs behind. I leave my idea that I know everything, leave that behind. And when I leave that behind, I can now accept what the truth is. It doesn't matter if the person's 100, or the person's 20, or the person's 10 years old. It doesn't really matter. If someone has something to kind of help you see the truth and the light, then that's worth something. This past week, I had an interview, and I got some feedback. And usually, someone's wanting for a job. Screw you, that's a you problem. But the person had some really good feedback. Communication skills were fine. I got to brush up on this, brush up on that. So uncharacteristically on my part, I sent the person an email back saying, I appreciate the feedback. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. Maybe it was just you just didn't hear me correctly or didn't explain myself correctly. But I appreciate your feedback and wish you on your search for a QA person. That's fine. A person's coming from a good spot and wants to give you critical feedback and good feedback. You got to be welcome. You got to put your ego behind and look for the truth. And hopefully, this is something that we approach not just Shabbos Yisro, but in everything. Everything we want to approach something, whether it's professionally, whether it's Torah-wise. If you really want to better yourself and strive for the truth, you can't look at the messenger. You got to look at the message. Shabbat shalom.